Hi, welcome. We're Alison and Terry, and we're the Sky Whisperers, and we're here to talk to you today about the astrology of December 2025. So we start with a pretty fiery chart, and I'm going to put that up now as we start the month, actually, and as you're probably watching this, if you're watching it with us, as we're recording it and when we release it, which will be just before the beginning of December, sort of November. Yeah, that's 28th, 29th, and 30th. Then we've got a few things happening, which we did talk about last month, but we'll just recap quickly. So, first of all, we've had Saturn, ruler of Capricorn, Aquarius, of course, go direct. So, if those signs are important in your chart, you'll have felt that energy kind of revitalizing you a little bit, perhaps, things starting to move again. And also, as we're all delighted to say, Mercury also has gone direct on the 29th, which is great. And then Venus moving into Sagittarius, where she's a lot less intense, a lot less kind of intent on doing the shadow work and everything. And she's much more inclined to just get out there and party. And that's where we sort of see her now in this chart, the 1st of December chart. She's bright and bouncy in Sagittarius, and she likes to be entertained and she likes to talk. And it's a much more future looking chart than we looked at in November. Thank goodness. Don't you think, Terry?
Yeah, exactly. I think the difference between this, I mean, we had that, I mean, still we have that Grand Trine or old water
All the
placement. I mean,
water.
I think that was, I mean, lots of emotional depth, and also with the Scorpio placement, all these intuitive things and digging out and trying to get into the bottom of things, but more
Yes,
in the emotional side,
yes.
etc. I think it was a lot of inner work that had to be done during the month of November, and when we are coming into December, we are still missing the practicality and of the, I mean, like grounding of the earth still
True,
in this chart.
true.
Especially in traditional elements, but we get more fire, more energy, and more action, and more
Yes.
like active energy. I think starting this month, which is nice, but we have to be, I think, really work hard to get that grounding. I mean, like not too much uh, getting out of our boundaries, etc., and like trying to like it sometimes I think trying to rein ourselves. I mean, like we have that energy, but it's a new energy at the end of the day compared to November, so we have to be gentle with ourselves when using that new
Point.
energy as well. Yeah.
Good point. And yeah, I think you're entirely right about that Scorpio energy. And I think a lot of us had quite a lot to process actually. And as Mercury and Saturn going direct, something's shifted, maybe a decision's been made there. Yeah, and there it is becoming more future looking, but gentle, yes, because it's obviously these planets in Sagittarius are ruled by Jupiter, which is in Cancer still in Cancer, will be there for a while longer. And Cancer is very concerned with belonging, with family, with home, with where we feel comfortable. And you know, it's imaginative and it's emotional. And Terry mentioned the grand water trine that's still very much there, sparked by Mercury now instead of the sun. And it's retrograde, so there are still questions. There are still questions about things around all these issues of home and family. And I do think they'll start to become clearer next year when Jupiter goes direct. And that does happen around the 11th of March. And finally, it will move out of that water sign of Cancer in the summer, towards the summer into Leo. And I think that the whole vibe will change quite dramatically at that point. But back to today and back to December.
Yeah,
So
also it's nice it's starting with the moon in Aries as well. It's like you
yeah,
really, it's like a new month, new start. The cycle starts, restarts again and everything. I think
yeah.
it's a good energy. I mean, like, are you ready? Party. It's like this
Yeah,
one. December is like,
absolutely. And I've set it here for midday, but I mean, just a couple of hours before, the moon will have made a lovely trine to Mars as well. So just kind of boosting that energy, which is great, I think. Yeah. So good time to be looking ahead and getting things going again. Yeah, definitely.
Exactly, exactly.
Definitely. And what do we have here? We've got Venus as well, actually, making that sextile to Pluto, which I did notice when I looked at this chart initially, which is also quite nice. I mean, Venus has spent a long
Sorry.
time kind of down in Pluto's world, sort of in the underworld in Scorpio, kind of digging things up and just reassessing what she values and what's important and all that kind of stuff. And now it's a sextile, so they're working together more. It's much more, okay, this is what we've discovered, this is what we've found, we're going to go forward with this, and we're going to work on our relationships in this way. And Venus being, of course, always about relationships as well as how we value ourselves and how we think about ourselves and all the other things that we value in life.
And it's nice because I mean, like during that square period, there was probably like all these conflicts, but you have to find a way to solve those conflicts and move forward. And when Venus, I think, goes into Sagittarius, I think whatever transformation we are going through in another area of life where the Pluto is in Aquarius, I
Mhm.
mean, then there could be some kind of better alignment, better harmony, the way that we relate to people or we value things with a actually, I mean, bigger vision. I mean, that's a more, I mean, like a larger vision and that seeing the bigger picture at the end of the day. So it's nice shifting from that energy into this energy also.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, there's a real don't sweat the small stuff vibe about Sagittarius, isn't there? Yeah,
Yeah.
just what actually, let's just get out there. What do we see? Where are we going really? And does that matter? No, probably not. Let's just get on with the journey. Yeah, and so that's great. And so then we move on to a full moon, which in itself is very interesting actually. That happens on the 4th of December. I'll just set that up for the time. Uh, Gosh, actually,
Should
I
be at
think
20,
it's actually
13,
going to
it should
be,
be fifth for you.
yeah, exactly. It's going to be the 5th in France because it's an hour later. So let me just set that up there. And that will be at 20, 14, just past midnight. Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
in France. So that's, yeah, just before midnight in the UK, just past midnight in Central Europe.
Hmm.
And here we have a mutable ground cross, with the sun and moon squaring the nodes in the sky.
Hmm.
Um, and this looks quite important when this happens, I think. The full moon being the culmination of something, but it's mutable as well, so it's changeable, adaptable. It's still looking for information. It's still trying to work out what it's doing in a sense. But with a full moon, you expect some kind of decision. But I think until the very last moment, you probably won't know what that decision is because everything's kind of with mutable planets, everything's in the mix and they shape shift a bit. Oh, you think that? Yeah, well, maybe you're right. Yeah. Oh, no, that. Well, you've got a point too. And it kind of goes on like that, doesn't it? I think
Yeah,
I'm so mutable, I know this.
yeah. I also know it's quite mutable person. I mean, it's like because it's like at the end of the day, as I always, I mean, like we mentioned it. I mean, like that's the culmination point, but it's like a journey that you have to continue and I mean end in a way because you are coming until the full moon. Like you think about it as a bell curve. You come to the peak point, the top, and that's the full
Yes.
moon. That's the half of the journey that you have, and then you have to decide how do I finish this other part of the curve that you because I have to reach that to the new cycle. So in that
Yes.
sense, it's always about decisions, but this time it's like more, I think, decisions more. I mean, like also since it's moon is in Gemini, it's like more our rational I mean, power, I mean, energy has to be put into the process. Yeah, we have to think about it. It's in a very mental way and all the possible communication channels, etc., involved in this. And also, I mean, we have to also, I mean, like that, make that balance between, because Sun in Sagittarius, yeah, it's like I want to explore, I want to see, I want to
Mm,
find, and I want to, I mean, like be part of this journey, whatever the end is. But the Gemini is like, okay, let's make a decision, but I mean, we cannot go like, oh, like that. No, no, okay, let's jump into this. Yeah, we have to see what is going to happen. I mean, like both have targets, but the way that
yes.
they approach to that target is different. I mean, like Sagittarius is in a more free-spirited way, but the Gemini is more like thinking through the process. So I think in whatever decision is made. Uh, During this time there should be a balance. Okay, of course, I mean we can add our free spirit, but we shouldn't forget that rational part and find the midway and continue the journey in a way. And as you said, since the nodes are involved,
Yeah.
that includes our life journey in a way, right? What do
Yeah,
you think
yeah.
about the nodes?
It definitely brings in something deeper with those nodes involved. And people think about Gemini as maybe a bit lightweight, but I think this is not actually a lightweight full moon in many ways. And if you're listening on Spotify, it is actually at 13 degrees of Gemini. So if you've got planets or angles around 13 degrees of the mutable sign, so you're looking at um, Gemini and Virgo, Sagittarius and Pisces here, then you're going to find this especially important for you, and that will be spotlighting you. So yeah, and it's ruled, of course, by Mercury, still in Scorpio. So there's some depth, there's some thinking. It's direct now, so it's looking to make the trine to Jupiter and Saturn very soon and complete that grand trine that we spoke of earlier. So there's still something emotional involved here as well. Although Gemini, being very rational, may find that a little bit difficult to handle, but I think this rational fact-finding stuff, this trying to make the decision, come to the balance, find the right point, is going to be about something emotional, about something, that you feel very deeply about. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you think that, I mean, both the full moon duo and both the nodes are like disposited, or the rulers
Yes.
are Jupiter and Mercury, and
Mercury.
which are both
Yes.
both in water signs. So we can think about it. It's like a blend of, as you mentioned, it's a blend of the, I mean, the here and the
Rational
here,
and the
the
emo.
heart, yeah,
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 the head and
yeah,
heart.
the head and heart. I mean, so I think we can think about it like that as well. I mean, like it's interesting. It's really interesting to see all these angles and everything around the Mercury and Jupiter and their interaction actually.
That is a
I
really
mean,
interesting point, Terry, about them both being ruled by sort of Mercury and Jupiter. So Virgo and Gemini, of course, ruled by Mercury, and then Sag and Pisces ruled by Jupiter.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, so interesting full moon to sort of kick off the month, really, actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That, yeah. After the
And
what
then
we
what
have.
did we? So a couple of days later, actually, on the 7th, I think Mercury does complete that water trine as the Sun did before and as Venus has done. So moving from Jupiter to Saturn, and sort of bringing those two planets together in a way. And they will finally come together in their own trine next July, and that'll be in the fire signs across
Mhm.
Aries and Leo. But here they're kind of being brought in by Mercury, by Hermes, if you like, by somebody who's able to kind of gather things up and join things together and take messages. So emotional messages perhaps that day. That's around the 7th. So I think that's something to look out for. And yeah, so only Jupiter being retrograde now. What else have I written here? Oh yeah, on Tuesday the 9th. I don't know if you clocked this, Terry, but then we get the Mars Saturn square. I'm always a bit
Mars,
wary
yeah,
about them. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
What
yeah.
did you
That's
think
we.
about that? It's a
Mm.
mutable square.
Yeah, Mars is in Sagittarius and
Mm.
Saturn would be in Pisces, and that would
Jupiter
be
again.
that is there always. I mean, it's like this. But when we are thinking about the Mars and that is part of the other that's a square and that's exactly another square going on. So I'm thinking that like Mars and Saturn, I mean, it's like two powers, different powers are in a way in a kind of dilemma. I mean, like because Mars in Sagittarius has a more this fiery thing in it, and that this move forward. But
Hmm.
Saturn in Pisces is like also. I mean that I think that compared to Saturn is at the end of the day. I mean it's like there are limits, the boundaries. I mean like
Yes.
maybe you try to put some emotional boundaries in certain area of
Hmm.
life, and there is this you are trying to. I mean there is a leash here, and then the other one is like no, I want to move forward. So when we are thinking two energies like clashing with each other, I think it could be a bit interesting experience because in one area of life, yes, we would like to move forward because we would like
Yeah.
to take steps because
Yeah.
we want to find out things we are maybe seeking for something, but in another area of life we are more like reserved in a way because it's a Pisces also. I mean, like we are saying that okay, I mean, like that emotionally, I have to put some boundaries so I can protect myself in a way.
Yes,
I mean, I
definitely.
can I can still, of course, empathize with people. I mean. I can also put structures, I mean, through compassion, etc. But it's more reserved. So it's like two energies like clashing with each other. I think it's like asking us keeping our calm in a way,
Hmm.
not being triggered by anything that is happening around that time.
Yeah, well, I think not being triggered is good because certainly Mars and Saturn are not happy bedfellows, and yeah, that everything you've said about, wanting to go forward and somebody else putting boundaries around it is definitely the case. So that day, I'm actually going to be traveling home from the UK to France, and I'll have been seeing my mother, who I always think is kind of quite a saturnine figure. She's very elderly now, and sort of me going home and the difficulty of actually kind of making that parting as well and traveling, which
Yeah,
is very Sagittarian and away from somebody who, has obviously a lot of emotional and feeling things for me. So I think it's interesting, and you can see the symbolism on lots of different levels actually when you look at it like that. Yeah, me
yeah,
not really wanting to go, but also wanting to go because I want to get home, but feel bad about leaving my mum, and maybe some guilt around Saturn in Pisces as well, actually,
yeah.
perhaps.
Could
Yeah.
be. Yeah, it's very possible.
And and then of course the next day, as we move on to the 10th, we have Neptune going direct. It's not actually direct at that point, but it definitely will be if I move it forward a little bit. Not quite
Yeah.
sure what time Neptune goes direct. Let me check that.
Let me see.
Oh, that's
At
just an hour actually. We can move it on a bit and
12,
actually.
12,
Oh,
13.
is it?
It's I think afternoon in the afternoon, just
Oh
afternoon.
yeah, yeah, okay. Yes. Let's just do that. So if I just put it to 2 o'clock, then we'll get the chart showing Neptune direct, where it'll be much happier. And I'm looking forward to this. I mean, I think Neptune and Saturn coming back into Pisces, I think for a lot of people with strong Sagittarius and strong Pisces, it was quite a difficult thing actually. I found it quite difficult when they were both in Aries. I think it felt a lot more kind of, yes, we're going to go finally, we've got some energy, we're going to move forward. And then they come back into Pisces, and you're like, oh, so it's still not, it's still not happening. And we've still got stuff to work through. So I do feel that Uh, this Neptune
Last
there.
tango. Last tango.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This last tango in Pisces, as it were, before they go forward and meet on, I think it's the 20th of February, isn't it? Next year in Aries. I mean, thank goodness. Yeah. So positive, positive, and making positive aspects to Mercury as it does so. So that's lovely as well. So I think that that's a really actually lovely imaginative trying. So if you've got some writing to do, I should definitely sit down and do it on the 10th, actually. It looks like a great day for really
Yeah, it
setting
is nice.
imagination.
Also, it's like lots of things. I mean, that have been thought about. I mean, contemplated about, etc. during the retrograde period,
Mm,
especially for the people who have, I mean, natal placements in the very last degrees of, like, we are seeing 29 degrees of Neptune here,
mm,
and it's like in Pisces, in Virgo, in Gemini, in Sagittarius,
mhm.
etc. I think uh, those people, especially in the last degrees, were going all through this, like, uh, what is my way? I mean, like, what is my ideas? What are my dreams? And what everything that you are thinking about the, also it's boundaries again here, but Neptune
Definitely
doesn't have
boundaries.
boundaries. But in the end, I think sometimes it's like you can think about, like, how much
Yes.
can be without boundaries, and how
Yeah.
much you have to protect yourself with that. So all these things in certain areas of life, I mean, especially for the Pisces, it could have been a question, I mean, like, that we have
Mm,
to think about. It's like, and I think it's all, as I said, it's last tango, so it's like that's the wrapping, really wrap up. We thought enough, I mean, like, all these years, I mean, in
yes.
the last few years, etc. And then we have to now get ourselves ready when finishing this cycle, and how, what to do also next with the Aries stage. In a way, I think it's a, I mean, maybe some of us might have been uncomfortable with the Neptune. I mean, like,
Mm,
contacting any of our personal planets, etc. But I mean, everything, every sacrifice, let's say, that comes with that, and everything, we should maybe appreciate that, and think forward, and think that
yeah.
in when Neptune goes in Aries, that what we can do, what new things can start in our
And
lives.
there may be some concrete changes as well, because I've just realized that actually just before it makes that a nice aspect to Neptune, Mercury actually confronts Uranus, which is about, in Taurus, it's been about our bodies, it's been about land, it's been about finances. So there's one last confrontation there, so changing our minds perhaps around some things there before it
Yeah.
goes through.
And I think
Into-
it's probably same degree of the Mercury when it was retrograde during the new moon in Scorpio. That
Yes,
that's
good
the
point.
same opposition probably.
Sure.
And I think since Mercury in this situation is now direct, I
Yeah.
think that new moon Scorpio things, whatever have been planted, etc., I think can have a better, clearer path to move forward.
Yeah, so it's coming back to whatever was under discussion around the new moon, and things are becoming clearer. I think that's
Yeah.
good. So this is positive, and there's a lot of positive vibes actually around this December astrology. I'm enjoying this. Good, good. And then of course the following day, Mercury's, or a couple of days later, is it on the 12th? Do we have here? Yeah. It moves into Sagittarius. Hooray. So now we've got this whole line up in Sagittarius. So more forward thinking, of course, and it's making immediately the beginning its sextile to Pluto as well, which it will perfect the following day. Yeah, and it's all just looking a lot more future, thinking about the future a lot more. So the moon's been moving through Virgo, so we may have been just kind of doing a little bit of fact checking and making tidying, organizing, making sure everything's okay and everything's sorted, in order to perhaps, well, perhaps do whatever we do around the end of December, whatever festival that might be for you, I think.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
of course, it's too mutable. I mean, like if you think that it's
true.
quite a mutable energy, it's like
It is
we have
beautiful.
to, I think that there is nothing actually in the traditional plans that fix anything. I mean, like, so we have to really also think about it. I mean, we cannot change our minds all the time. Ah, this doesn't work. Ah,
A
let's
bit
do this. Let's do
unstable,
that.
you
Yeah,
mean?
we have to
Yeah.
have some kind of, as Earth except Moon in Virgo in this chart
Hmm.
at least doesn't exist much, and then we
No.
don't have fixed energy. We
True.
have to make sure that that ground doesn't slip under our feet. I mean, doesn't slip away from
Yes.
our feet. I mean, like I think we have to be really like strong in some positions, and we don't go like, ah, that's fine, okay, that I can do this, okay, I can adapt to this. No, you cannot adapt to everything. I mean, there's some of the things we have to keep it as they are, or we have to make sure that there's something sustainable in what we are changing also. I mean, like if
Yeah.
necessary you change, but not all the time. So I think we have to like find a way to calm down that
It's about
kind of
keeping your feet on the
mutable.
ground, isn't it,
Yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Have to.
definitely. Yes. And yes, of course, that is important. I mean, that Jupiter in Cancer will give a little bit of something because it's a cardinal sign, Cancer, but it's not the same as an Earth sign. And I think that's true. And there is a danger with a lot of planets in Sagittarius. You can be a bit rash, and Mercury can be a bit rash in Sagittarius, say things that you didn't really want to say, you're not going to follow up on. You have to kind of do that triple before you speak. Is it kind, is it necessary, is it true, whatever it is, the three sort of the three word.
Yeah, because sometimes there is the truth, but I mean there is like a fine line between that you get from the saying the truth to the blunt point,
Yes,
or like
exactly.
on the face, what they call, I think, like something like that. And you
Yeah.
go like, what is going on? So I think that the line is very important there. Yeah.
I mean, Scorpio is really truthful as well, of course, but this is a bit, Scorpio is a bit more, well, like I've come to this conclusion and this is what you need to hear. But or if you ask, I'll tell you. But Mercury is a bit like, well, you didn't ask, but actually, I've just noticed this. So, and you're like, well, did you really have to say that in Sagittarius? Maybe not. So, yeah,
Maybe
mind
not.
how
Yeah.
you go with that.
No, exactly.
Is yeah, but party energy, I think, sociable energy. That's Sag,
Yeah.
so that's quite
Yeah,
nice.
which is happening. I think it's most of the places, the people that I mean, like the people have these all these Christmas parties, etc. No work. I mean,
Yeah,
getting
definitely.
winding down and everything. So it's like there's a kind of, yeah, party energy.
And definitely on that subject, actually, then we've got Mars squaring Neptune. So be a bit careful what you do at those Christmas parties because you
Yeah,
might be doing something you'll regret with Mars at the end of Sag. And actually, this is the position of the French president's son as well. He's got I think the Sun and Mercury at 29 Sagittarius. So I think this period with these planets around these 29 of the mutable signs actually could be quite interesting for him. So we'll see what directions he's going in.
yeah, that
He's been a
also.
sort of leader on various things, so I'm
Mhm,
pleased to
yeah.
say. Yeah, so on the 15th, back to me, sorry, just talking about me again. But I'm having my hip replacement on the 15th, and I can just imagine how sort of doubtful and confused and actually quite fearful I'm likely to be on the 14th about all these things. So,
Yeah, but
yeah.
when we come to 15, I think the Mars would be already moving. When to
Yes, the
Ca
following
Cap
day, hooray,
way
into
great.
Capricorn. So as Mars, I think, represents a surgeon in those kinds of medical type charts, doesn't? Or it's definitely about knives. So I'm
Knives, yeah.
glad that Mars representing knives is in exaltation there in Capricorn and very strategic. That is
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
need, not margin Sag being rash. Margin
Exactly.
Capricorn being stiff.
It's like, yeah,
Fatigue.
it's a good, yeah, day. I mean, like Mars in Capricorn, that it's like a bit that jumpy. I mean, let's go, do,
What in
explore,
Sagittarius?
run. Yeah, yes, from that energy
Yeah,
to go into the Capricorn. Okay, now let's put this feet on the ground. Yeah, I mean, like we can go around, walk, etc. But it's like
yeah,
we have to make sure that we are careful about the steps that we are taking. I mean, like, so it's like more
absolutely.
careful, more, I mean, like, yeah, as you said, more strategic and more realistic at the end of the day. I mean, like approaching things,
Definitely.
even you are starting stuff. I mean, like anything in your life in that sense. I mean, like that taking that initiative, there's a reality part involved in that. It's not like Don Quixote or Don
Yeah, yeah,
Quixote
no,
that they say
absolutely.
it's like there is a reality thing, and
Yeah.
then you have a target, but you are not just like throwing the ball. I mean, here you know the target. Maybe you won't be in a hurry, and
Hmm.
you are not in a hurry. You know the destination, and you will walk towards there. There is perseverance now comes. There is this resilience come, and everything together with that makes more grounded and much
Yes,
probably.
definitely. Well, Mars in Capricorn's very strong, and if you see it ever if I see it in clients' charts, there's a definite sense of leadership and taking charge, and just automatically doing those things and being in control, which is interesting. And this starts to bring the Earth into the chart. I mean, we still don't have the fixed energy, but we're at least bringing that grounded, yeah, earthy energy into the chart,
Yeah,
which is interesting and probably positive. And Capricorn, of course, is very ambitious. And it's about building structures in the material world, like Saturn is, Saturn the ruler. It's very much about that. So this is a different kind of feel, I think. And yeah, it's just a little bit more sensible, actually, in the end, I think, than the previous sort of few days have been. So that's quite nice to see.
and I think after this, I don't know what, but on the 17, I believe that Mercury should come around 17, a bit before, I think, in time that the same degree that it started the retrograde period.
Oh,
So it's
yes,
like
it will be
actually
then, won't it? Yeah.
completely, I think, finishing that cycle, and like would be like completely off that retrograde energy, and then it's like full power on for
Yes, you're
Mercury, I
right.
think, after.
Yes, that is exactly what happens on the 17th, Terry. Yep, it gets out of the retrograde sort of
Yeah,
shadow part, and now it's genuinely moving forwards
yeah,
into territory it hasn't been into before, at least not in this configuration. Of course, it's been round the skies several times, but in its life. But it's always new, and it comes back to the same spot. So now it's moving forward, and yeah, it's it's looking even more towards the future. Yeah. It's got the vision, hasn't it? It's got a sense of where it's going, I think now, and it's going
yeah,
there, that
yeah,
Mercury. So that'll be good for
exactly.
Geminis, I think, as well, even though Mercury is not always traditionally very happy in Sagittarius. I think the fact that it's out of that retrograde shadow will be good for Virgo and Gemini, and they will be able to look a little bit more clearly towards the future. So that's good.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, good. And then we move forward to the new moon, I believe, do we? On the
Yes, 20th,
20
20th.
20th. Yeah, what
Yeah.
time's that? Let me just check that. Okay, so that's again early in the morning. And that will be, it's at 28 24 of, uh, 28 24 of Sagittarius.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hope I got that right. Yeah. Yes, here we have it, 28 24 Sag. Um, so I mean it's kind of between Venus and Mars, that's fine. they're not really impacting it enormously, but it is making the square to Neptune. So I think with that, actually, I do think there's a question about, I think there's a question about building dreams with this. I always think this with Neptune in Pisces, uh, and and uh, and the spirituality and the futuristic kind of sense of can we do it? What do we need to change? What might we need to sacrifice to get to get these things off the ground here? The new initiatives that we would like to sort of make a start with this new moon. What sacrifices might need to happen? I do feel that. And a
Yeah.
slightly awkward aspect to Uranus as well. So again, it could be to do with our bodies, our health, the land that we live on, our creature comforts, our comfort zones, those sorts of things, really. Yeah. But a new moon in Sag is about looking forward, I think, don't you, Terry? It's about it's about sort of firing up the imagination and looking to the future.
Yeah, it's again, it's since it's in the last degrees of the sign. I think there is
Mhm.
this feeling of, yeah, that you don't want to leave the party. It's like there's a really
Yes.
party going on here,
Yeah.
but it's like, but you have to leave the party and move on to the, no, hopefully not next party until the morning, but it's like you have to move and you have to decide what kind of new journey you would like to start. I mean, because
Yes.
it's
Yes.
disposited by the Jupiter. It's like we are talking about a journey. It can be a physical journey, it can be next stop, where is the next stop, but it could be also that, more a philosophical journey that we are talking about, which includes again our past, because Jupiter is in still, of course, in Cancer here, and we are talking about the ties that we have with the family, with our roots and
Yes.
everything, and
Yes.
all that kind of journey might be impactful in this new seeds that are going to be planted during this new moon in Sagittarius. So we have to
True.
think about this. I mean, I think when we are getting into the next step in this new moon.
And of course, a lot of people who celebrate Christmas, and even those who don't, I mean, if they live in Western Europe there and Eastern Europe, there might be Christmas holidays around then. They might be traveling back to see family. So, that combines the idea of Sagittarius and travel with Jupiter, the family, and yeah, and there's always perhaps that Neptune, is it going to be as good as was when we were kids? And it never quite is, but it'll be nice nevertheless, hopefully, that kind of just quite practical side to it as well, I think. But
Yeah,
yes, what
also,
kind of journey?
like, if it's like literal something like that, sometimes when you probably gather together with the family,
Mhm.
that reminiscence, no, the things come back
True.
and etc.,
Yes.
all that flashbacks, and I think that also, I think invoke other types of ideas,
Emotions. Yeah.
feelings, etc., in you, and then that is, I think, very, helps your going forward, both in sense of Jupiter and both of in the sense of new moon, because you want to know what is your next journey, what kind of
Mm.
things you have to do, and what are you believing now. I mean, like in the past I believed in that,
Yes.
but well, what am I believing now, and what kind of with what kind of faith I'm going forward,
Yes. I
right?
think that's lovely.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think that's a really, really good point, actually. Because, yes, you're right. And there's this nostalgia that's around that square to Neptune as well. A sense of nostalgia, a sense of what's been lost perhaps over the last year. I mean, there's usually often some kind of loss or some kind of,
yeah.
something to process, what you've had to process during that time. And then, yeah, exactly as you said, Terry, what am I believing in now? Where do I put my faith to go forward? I think that's an absolutely lovely description of this new moon. Yeah, well done. We could stop there because that's great. Except
No,
that we
but we,
don't, because this is all about beginning and endings this year. And of
yeah,
course, the very next day, the sun and the moon, of course, both move into Capricorn. And we have the winter solstice. So actually, I
yes,
did get the solstice chart up. So let's just have a look at that. I put that. There we are. So the sun into Capricorn, the winter solstice, and that is in so many senses a new beginning. So yeah, the solstice chart is when the sun obviously, reaches the sort of darkest point of the year. Is it furthest from the Earth? I can't quite remember. In the northern hemisphere, I will say, but Terry and I are
yeah,
in the
yeah,
northern hemisphere.
yeah,
And then it begins its journey again up towards the light. So that moment, sol is sun, and stis means still in Latin. So it's that moment of stillness, a pause, if you like. And I always think it's like a pause in the breath, when you breathe in.
yeah.
And you have to have a little pause before you breathe out again. You can't you can't do it all in one go. And I think the sun is like that at the solstice. And it's just a moment of stop.
Yeah,
And then it starts to go again in the other direction.
yeah.
And that's an absolutely lovely moment actually, which, should be celebrated probably with a candle and, just a little reflection on that. Um, and coming out of the winter darkness, starting to come out of the winter darkness towards the light.
Yeah,
I absolutely love that solstice actually.
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, actually, the people that they see that I think sunset and then the sunrise the next day, etc. It's
Mm,
like welcoming. I think the in a way new energy. I mean, like it's like because you are that's the moment that you are going start going. Of course, there is still time for the northern hemisphere to reach the spring, but you are like going towards that moment. I mean, it's a slow
yeah,
pace, of course, etc. But
yeah,
to see the sunrise and everything, I think the next day. I think it's like you are starting a new stage because the days get longer in this part of the world, so you see the light more, and then light is energy. I mean, like you see the that
yeah,
core energy of sun. I mean, more at least this part, and I think that's kind of also it's nice that it's in Capricorn. We have more Earth now. Hallelujah moment also. I mean, it's like yeah, we still I mean miss the air energy in terms of traditional planets that has been
hmm,
missing there for a while, but at least we have this now much
mm,
more grounding that is coming through the earth placements at the end of the day.
yes,
And but we have to yeah take into consideration of the of course the air a bit here because we need to communicate, we need to find a way to take our words out and
yes, very
uh,
true. And I think, yeah, we've been lucky for quite a lot of this month, actually, haven't we? Apart from that new moon in the full moon at the beginning of the month in Gemini, really, there hasn't been any emphasis on air. So it's been quite hard, I think, to think about things rationally, to take that step back. It's all been quite emotional, as it were. Emotional and kind of, I don't want to say reactive, but there's something about mutable planets that can be reactive, just like sort of shifting wherever sort of seems to be appropriate at that moment. And not having the power, as it were, to just take that step back and find that, the balance like you do in Libra, for instance, or that intellectual sort of thoughtful process that you get with Aquarius, that's sort of that insight that sees things so kind of razor sharply. And it's definitely been lacking that.
I think I was thinking, like, for example, I mean, like, of course, there is this active energy with the fire, etc. I
Mm,
mean, like at the beginning of the month, but I'm like thinking that it's like when in Sagittarius, you don't have any memo, but Gemini at least will give you a send you a message. I work
yes.
with lots of Gemini, some people. I mean, like they would shift all of a sudden, and then but you will get that memo. They will say that okay, we are not doing it now. We are going to do it this way, and then for the people, I think it would be like, oh my God, but I was just doing this, but there's a memo. They're saying that okay, we are now doing it like this.
Hmm.
We are changing the path. But I think with Sagittarius, okay, I mean, like I think there is an assumption that everyone understood. Okay, like okay, that's normal that we are shifting this way. No, it's something like that. That's why I think that communication. It's like yes, we are doing something. We are going to change. We are going to move this way instead of that way. But you give the reasoning at least. I mean, with the Gemini or I mean,
Mm.
like with Virgo or like the Pisces will say, I felt so. But I think it's like with Sagittarius is action. It's just like going.
Yes, yes.
Right? Right. I mean, it's something like that. I mean, so it's in that sense, I think that material of communication, I mean, I think is very important. I mean, we are going to do changes, etc. I mean, we have to make sure that the other party also is informed
Yeah,
about
it's
it.
on board, yeah, and it actually knows what you're doing. That's very
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Very true. So there's something quite traditional about Capricorn as well, actually. I just want to say that because, this is quite a traditional time of year, I think, for quite a lot of faiths, quite a lot of
Mm,
people.
yeah.
And there's something about winter that makes us feel quite traditional, I think, regardless of what it is, just the fact of being at home more and lighting fires for those of us that have got fires, or at least, baking perhaps more or cooking more because you've got more time, those kinds of things, and you're inside, so you can't be outside doing stuff.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I think it's quite a traditional time of year, and that's going to be accentuated as well when Venus moves into
Capricorn.
Capricorn on the
Mm.
24th as well. So I'll
And
just
it's interesting. 24th is the Christmas Eve, right? That
yeah,
day, yeah, it's moving there, and then I think the day of Christmas it would be like we have a lot of Capricorn coming together. Yeah, that's
yeah,
in
that's
April.
right. Yeah, hang on, let's just get her in there. Yes, exactly. So that's actually sort of so Christmas Eve afternoon, she's going to move into Capricorn just when everyone's sort of sitting in a bit of a heap, I should think, watching the King's speech or something like that. It probably is, yeah, just after the King's speech. But not everyone will be in that position, and I think the fact that Saturn in Pisces and the planets in Pisces remind us of that. Just be behind, there's a lot of people who aren't going to be in that
Yeah,
position, and
unfortunately.
who aren't lucky enough to be in a family situation. So, if you can reach out or anything like that, and this is a time to do it, it's a great time to do it because, Saturn is very much ruler of Capricorn and in the place of sacrifice, in the place of service, if you like, thinking about others. So it's definitely a time for doing that too.
Yeah, it's like as if it's saying that yeah, when you are like I mean like making all these traditional things
Mm,
going on. I mean, you don't forget about the
spiritual.
parties that are missing
Yeah.
certain part from this structure that we are in now. So I
Yes,
think
exactly.
that's the dilemma because I mean, it's like I think even you are in a really nice environment. Of course, I mean, it's like we cannot all the time. I mean, like the my work mind says that okay we have to be practical we cannot all the time but it's like it's I think I mean especially for the people who celebrate Christmas it's a moment of also thinking about the others and
Yes.
I think like all these appeals etc coming through
Hmm.
I mean like it's about that I mean like because either winter or summer doesn't make any difference because there's not this setting for everyone so we have
That's
to
true.
also, I mean, like in our family maybe structure, we have to make a part for the collective as well. I mean, like it's like as you said, helping out people. It could be the case that you just, I mean, like offer some lunch or someone that you see and makes people happy. I mean, in a way,
Yeah,
show that
indeed.
compassion.
And there's a spiritual aspect to Saturn in Pisces as well, isn't there? Pisces is that spiritual sign, and it's there with Neptune. And this is the last Christmas that we'll have Neptune in Pisces, so that's sort of
Yeah.
that that idea of sacrifice in the midwinter, when it's
Yeah,
cold and people do need help more because, it's nobody can go to the park and sit on a bench
no,
and see other people. So, if any of us know people that are alone, then this is could be a time to reach out for sure.
yeah,
And
exactly,
and
exactly.
also just try to connect, I think, with something larger than ourselves with those planets there, regardless of what faith you come from. Just the
Yeah,
fact
yeah, of
it's
course.
just a connecting with the universe, I think, really, at this
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah,
That
exactly,
is
exactly.
that is being offered to us in a sense, I
Yeah,
think.
when the Mercury in Sagittarius, all that Christmas carols, etc., is like going on the streets. No,
Could be.
that's the I think fun part of it. No, right? The people singing together, and also
Yeah,
I mean they
definitely.
are actually serving that collective, because generally when they sing, I at least here I mean like when they start singing, they collect money to donate
Yes, for
someone,
charity,
etc. So
charities,
for the charities and
associations, and
etc. Yeah,
so.
that I think that I think that has that part inside that as well. I mean, so yeah.
And I think that actually was the main points for December. I mean, the new moon moves into the 3rd of January when we have Chiron going direct as well, which will be quite good. I think I'm quite looking forward to that. I mean, Venus there in Capricorn is quite restrained and responsible, isn't she? I don't. She's very sort of sensible and loyal, and I always think Venus in Sag, that's the party girl, but Venus in Capricorn, she wants to get married. That's
It's yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's like
she
yeah,
wants
because
to
there
she
is
wants
a
to be in the social structure within the, she works within existing structures in
that
Capricorn. She's sort of
longevity, no longevity comes with that, etc. You want something permanent that goes, I mean, like
exactly.
has a stability, etc. You don't want
Yeah,
like you don't jump from this party to the other party. You want to be like in a certain place, that where you are going in a way. I mean, so it's interesting that that's I think yeah, from the
yeah,
Sag to Capricorn jump, of course. I mean, that, of course, I mean we are all the time like making like fun, etc. But we always have to think that yeah, Sagittarius is like the truth seeker. There is the wisdom seeker. So they are very also I mean like very philosophical. I mean in that sense, and also there is. Even sometimes the words may not come the way that they want to be, but there is always that truth, that is wisdom that is coming through Sagittarius. So
that's true.
thankful for their fiery energy
Yes,
as well as
yeah,
well. So
indeed.
I think that would be that for this, and this mid December we will be having our last guest of honor,
Yes,
uh,
exciting.
uh, Kenan Yasin Bölükbaşı
In
would be with
Budapest.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
famous Turkish astrologer. He's
yeah.
great. I'm really looking forward to talking to him.
He's the young and the I think I wouldn't say rising star. He's already a star in
Oh,
Turkey,
he's
and also
risen. Yeah.
he's also very active in the international astrology scene. So it would be, I think, fun to talk to him and to understand what is beyond astrology with Kenan. So we are
Definitely.
looking forward to that as well. So I think that would be the end of it. I think in December, I mean, for January, we may give a little bit of break. I don't know how Alison, she has mentioned that she will have hip surgery, but we will see
I'm sure
how
I'll
we,
be
we can
fine.
how we can get on in January and come with the new year, new things. Lots of things will be happening.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll be raring to go. Yeah,
Yes, all with the Capricorn, all Mars
exactly.
in Capricorn. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Well, thank you very much, Terry, and thanks everyone for listening and for watching. And we look forward to seeing you next time. So don't forget to like
thank
and
you.
subscribe. I've got to say that.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye
Bye.
bye.